Mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. Today we're back on the Racing Green. I'm just gonna refit the steering rack. We need to give it a bit of an overhaul, new boots, new track rod ends, maybe give it a bit of a paint up, and we need to start looking at the wiring loom as well. So I need to sort of assess that and decide whether I need to buy a wiring loom or whether I can repair the old one. So without further ado, let's just get straight into the action. Cheers. So nice not to have the Minis all undercover. So the Racing Green, I need to do a bit of sorting around in the boxes and make a bit of a parts order to Mini spares for the front subframe. So bear with me, I'll start unboxing some stuff and see what we've got. I honestly can't remember. Right, so I've had a look around. I'm actually, I don't know, I'm struggling to sort of, I've spoke about motivation before, but I've been cutting and grinding and welding for so long, it just feels odd to be sorting out, putting things back together. So I've had a bit of a rummage around. As per usual, you know, I'll find two sets of steering rack gaiters, so I've obviously doubled up there. I've got 4 sets of swivels, so I've obviously doubled up. I've got loads of these gaskets for the blanking plates and the master cylinder, but I've got a fair few bits there to go back on. I just end up with some random bits sometimes. I think Mark ordered a load and gave me some, but we've got a pair of track rod ends and steering rack boots, so that means I can get the steering rack built up and put back in, because that wants to go in before the subframe. I'll give it a clean up and a good paint. I've got the gasket which goes between the bulkhead and the steering rack. Things like the choke cable, that probably wants to go in now because it's a bit of a pain to get in once all the dashboard's in and everything like that. Throttle cable can go on. Obviously got teardrop mounts, we got engine mounts. We've got new cones, we've got a set of bearings, so I can start getting the front hubs done because I've got the swivels and the bearings. So that means I can refurb the front hubs, get them done. They're inner pot joints, not going to need them for the moment. There are obviously loads of other engine bits in that box, but so far, so I reckon I need to order top arm repair kits, 2 upper bump stops, 2 lower bump stops, the rear subframe mounts, the bushes, tower bolt bush sets, lower arm bush kits, the inner bushes on the arms, pair of tie rod bush kits. The tie rods on it were rose jointed and the bottom arms were rose jointed, but I've got a standard set. I need to order a battery cable as well, and I need to think about the wiring loom. I'm probably going to order a new loom. I will maybe just have a go at cleaning the old one up. I'm sure I've got more bits somewhere, but that gives me enough. I think the next thing I'll do is I'm going to get that rack all cleaned up and put back on. The tie rods weren't actually worn on that rack and the boots ain't split, but I'm never sure rubber things. I mean, there's a tiny bit of cracking on the end of those boots, but it always bothers me with rubber. I bet I'll put these new boots on and these boots will split in a year. Or do you leave the old ones on there which have got a bit of cracking on them? I will fit the new ones, but sometimes it's false economy actually. You're better off going with the old rubber as long as it isn't split open. So yeah, let me get that rack cleaned up and we'll get that fitted on the car. Just thought I'd bring you in quickly. So I'm stripping apart this rack. Can you see there what I mean by the rubbers starting to crack? Now I don't know how old these boots are. I suspect they've been replaced because they've got those big white cable ties on the inside. So I think they want doing because they will split. It's just the quality of the new rubber that worries me. So I've got my new track rod ends. I'm just offering them up, checking them. I actually ordered genuine MG Rover track rod ends. I've probably done that because I've ordered track rod ends in the past and the rubbers split on them within a year. So worth spending the extra on the genuine ones if you can. I don't think they're that much more expensive. And then as we're stripping down the rack, important, I mean, we'll track this car up when it's back together, but we do want to make it sure it's roughly about right. So on the off side it was 9.5 turns, on the near side it was 11.5 turns, which means someone's adjusted it unevenly, maybe because the steering was pulling or something like that. But you want to start from a fresh with the same on either side. So we just balance it out. When we go back on, it'll be 10.5 either side. And then whatever adjustments we do on the tracking, we'll do the same on both sides. That should keep it all steering straight. Right, that's our steering rack ready to go on then. So new track rod ends on there, new boots. We've given it a clean up, bit of a lick of paint. You'd have seen I'm being a bit tarty. I've painted lines on the track rod arm. That's so when you do the tracking, you can tell how many turns you've turned it round. How many turns you've adjusted the arms. Obviously we've got a new foam bush to go on there. Got our U-bolts. Don't forget they have a little plastic, don't know what you call that. Little bit of plastic that goes around the U-bolt. Don't ask me what it does. I did look it up one time, but I can't remember. Probably just adds a bit of insulation so it's not metal on metal. So let's get that rack bolted in. Very important that we use self-locking nuts. In fact, I might use some new nylock ones rather than reuse them. Yeah, I've got plenty. We'll put some new nylock ones on. Let's get the rack on. And then, yeah, what next? There we go then. That's the rack fitted. Does it meet your standards, Paul Robinson? I know you were saying fit a brand new one on there. But that one was perfectly okay, no wear in it. Couple of new gaiters, new track rod ends, bit of a paint up, and it's like brand new anyway. I've also fitted the, don't know what this bit's called, but Mark had some of the original sealer for that, so that's all fitted back on there now. Just starting to get little bits and bobs back on. Yeah, not sure what next. I've got the loom down there, need to have a good look at that. Pedal box needs to go back in, then I can get the rack on. I am just conscious I need to paint the inside of the car at some point as well. So I don't want too much to go back in, although I've only got to paint the bottom half inside. Need to paint this top dash rail now. I will probably just do the top dash rail with just a rattle can. There's no point in me getting the spray gun out and mixing up paint just to do that bit, to be honest. It's hidden behind the top dash pad anyway. Right then, I think next thing is probably going to be putting the wiring loom back through into the engine bay. So I've started looking at the wiring loom. And I'm in two minds, to be honest. So interior part of the loom, this is all this bit, all the switches on. Looks relatively okay, to be honest. There's no nasty bodges anywhere that I can see. This is the speedo here. There's a cut wire there. Can't remember why that's cut. But that's not the end of the world. But then when we come into the under bonnet part of the loom, obviously we've got these fuses which go up behind the bulkhead. So this ain't looking good when you've got, this has been replaced before, that inline fuse holder. Then we've got like Lucas type crimp connectors which are not the best. It's not disastrously bad. I mean, all these connectors are still there, but they're all green inside. I could probably spend a bit of time cleaning them up, taping them up. But as you go along here, we've got some more Lucas connectors. More Lucas connectors here, more of them here. We've got the dreaded Scotch locks up here. I think that's for the indicators. This is the bit of a mess. I don't know what's going on here. I think this is for the front lights. Yeah, near side lights. Did I cut that like that? I might have done and just tape them up to help hold them together. That obviously all needs remaking. More dodgy connectors. More Scotch locks. Another patched in bit of Loom. It's not completely disastrous. I think this is salvageable. That's obviously the one for the wiper motor. I had to cut that off because that was all corroded in the motor. The problem you get after time is when these wires are like this. I mean, that doesn't look too bad, but you've probably seen it before. When you get bad earths and that sort of thing, you start cutting back the wire to find some nice fresh copper wire to remake the connector with, and it's just all black and oxidized underneath the insulation where the corrosion has crept up inside, and I'll be honest, I think that's probably what's going to happen on certain bits of this Loom. And that's a big decision, this, but I am keeping that car. Sprout is obviously getting sold. That one's a keeper. Shall I? 280 quid for a Loom, I think it is. Let's not muck around. What would be the point in going to all that expense and all that, getting all the bodywork perfect? I know it's not perfect at the moment, but it will be. And then sticking in a 30 odd year old wiring Loom. So as with me, it's never quite no expense spared, but I think I'll save that for another day. Another Mini. It ain't that bad, it can be repaired, but I think I'm going to take the plunge. I'm going to order a brand new wiring Loom, because I'm just certain that I'll be chasing problems with that Loom forever and a day. Put a new Loom in it immediately, I know it isn't going to be a problem. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Probably a little bit of a short and quick one this week. I'm actually trying to build up some footage. I'm away on holiday again, summer holiday, and I've been putting a video up pretty much, I think, every week for over 5 years now, so I don't want to let you down. So the videos will probably be a little bit shorter, and I'm going to be doing just little jobs as we go through. The great thing about now the sort of all the heavy welding and panel work is done, is that I can do little bits at a time. So when you're welding and that, when you come out, by the time you've set up, you've done a bit of welding, grinding, cutting, it does take hours. You can't just come out and do 20 minutes, half an hour at a time. But I'm at that stage now where I'm cleaning stuff up, I'm building arms, you know, front hubs, playing around with a Loom, things like that. I can do little bits at a time, and I do struggle with time to spend on the cars. It's middle of the summer, so when the weekends get here, I want to be out in PL, driving it around, having a bit of fun. I want to spend time with the family. I want to have barbecues. I don't want to be in the garage. Obviously, when the winter's here and the nights come in, it's much easier to go out in the garage and get stuff done because, you know, there ain't much else to do. So I'm going to be doing lots of little bits and bobs. Just need to make sure I catch them on camera. Hopefully I can get enough footage built up so there's a video for when I'm away. But it's certainly coming across along nicely now. I'm really, it makes me feel much better starting to put bits back on the car, and it's really looking fantastic. Really pleased with it. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. Please remember to give it a thumbs up. If you enjoyed the videos, please consider subscribing. If you drop me a comment, I'll read all the comments. I'll respond if you want to ask me a question. And I'll catch up with you on the next one. So see you later. Cheers. Bye.